Good evening and welcome to another edition of Choose to Challenge. I'm LaWanna Bradford with the Bradford Group as well as the Bradford Group Consulting, here to help you challenge the norms, the systems, the mindsets that are out there that are preventing humanity from elevating and being the best that they can be. Today we've got a very special guest who will be on by the name of Serena Bufalino, and we're going to be talking about transformation comes when standing in the gap. Again, transformation comes when standing in the gap. And what I found is it's so easy to see a need and to figure that there's someone else who's going to rise up to the occasion and take care of it. It's so easy to deflect and think that our world, our lives are so busy that we just don't have the time. But the question that I want to ask you is, what if you take the time? What if you take the time to make a difference in the lives around you? It could be lives in a family member, someone in your community, someone at work. Have you ever thought about the last time that you gave a helping hand to someone in need? Where you decided to pay it forward, looking for nothing in return? There's a transformation that happens, not just to the lives that you touch, but a transformation that happens within. And we're going to get to that discussion in just a moment. And I want to first welcome our sponsor, Audra Egan, and we will kick off our show right now.
Hi, everyone. I am the founder and host of Women in the Arena podcast. It is my mission to change the world. I'm going to do this by interviewing women from all over the globe and share their stories with each other. I want to build bridges amongst all of us and tear down walls. We do so many amazing things that nobody knows about. So join me in helping to celebrate all of these women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. You can visit our website at womeninthearena.net. You can find all of our episodes there, or you can catch us on any of your favorite podcast platforms. I hope you join us and come and celebrate.
Well, if you caught the tagline that Audra said she is celebrating and recognizing women doing amazing things, extraordinary things in plain sight. And that speaks to my guest today, Miss Serena Bufalino. Serena, how's it going?
Hi, LaWanna. It's going great. Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Always a pleasure to speak with you. And I absolutely love the topic we're talking about today. So it's going to be a really exciting show. And thank you.
Well, thank you. This is your second time back on Choose to Challenge. In fact, we started the whole Choose to Challenge narrative a year ago during Women's History Month because the international theme was Choose to Challenge, having women to challenge, to rise up, to be empowered by their voice, and knowing that our voice and our actions can be that catalyst for sustainable change. And that's what you're doing. You started off as in the educational arena. You're still in the educational arena, but there was a catalyst that sparked something in you that caused you to now be a representative of the voiceless, if you, around the world, for those that are marginalized, that are challenged, that need their messages and their stories told. And I want to just pause for a moment and have you just tell a little bit about that story and why you are so passionate about transforming lives.
Okay, so yes, thank you. Um, I mean, the story, I guess, would have originated from my background as a student attending school. I did struggle significantly with reading and writing, and so obviously school was very challenging for me. And at that time, it was there wasn't really a differentiated instruction, and it was kind of like one learner, and you all have to be the same kind of learner. And so again, I struggled with that, and I always knew that I could learn, but I would just learn in different ways that others learned. So I had a lot of behavioral issues masking my kind of learning disability. But I had a principal who believed in me and a mom who believed in me, and they encouraged me to be better and to try harder and to learn regardless of how I was feeling. And it was quite funny because I remember very clearly my principal one time when I was in his office said to me, "Serena, you're going to become what you hate." And I was like, "Absolutely not, sir. That would either be a teacher or like a police officer." And um, my very first teaching job ended up being a teacher in a young offenders facility. And if you would have told me that, in high school that I would have become a teacher, I would have said absolutely not. And so I ended up becoming the teacher and the educator I always wish I had, right? And so that's why straight from teachers college I went to work with youth that were displaced in mainstream school. And I thought I wanted to work with all the kids that were struggling in mainstream school, kids that, couldn't function in classrooms, kids who had learning disabilities, mental health issues, social emotional issues, because I know that um, there's something at the core of that student, of that individual. And if I could get to the core of what was preventing them from their growth, that I could be that kind of cheerleader for them, like my mom and my principal were, and be able to give them an opportunity to learn in a new way, to have a new way of thinking of being, to be there for them first as like their mentor, as their cheerleader. And then once you can break through those barriers, of having the trust and having the emotional and social support of others, it kind of raises your self-esteem, raises your self-worth. It gets you outside that little kind of box trap mind, and then when you believe in yourself and the people around you believe in you, I am living proof that anything and everything is possible, right? So I always had a desire to help the underdog. It was always something that I dreamt of. The fact that I actually became it was quite a life accomplishment for me. And then it was through working with the youth that they inspired me and they pushed my boundaries to eventually start helping other youth, that eventually led organically to the founding of this charity. So, I didn't have this as a goal or as a life plan, but it was through, teaching others how to think and be in a different way, where they turned around and challenged me to think and be in a different way. And so it's a constant evolution of growth, and it's always comes back to the core of mental health and having the strength and the courage to help others.
I love that. And as you said, sometimes we don't see the end game, but we see the impact or the influence that we want to have. And so with you, it was this mental health. You wanted to be there to support the underdog, those that don't have that representation. But so much as the how you were going to get there may not have been clear, but I'm certain that when you look back now, you can see how all the connections led to this time. Yes.
Exactly. It's kind of mind blowing to say, like, to see that evolution, not planning it, but organically it all coming up and leading to something greater that even to this day is another opportunity to learn and grow. And so it, even with the charity, with starting the charity, with starting the international work, I would have never believed that through service work and through helping others, that I always say it transforms us as the giver more than the receiver. So through service work, through the work that I did with my students in rehabilitating them, I gained strength. I gained inspiration. I was challenged every day to be there for them. But because they showed up to my classroom, especially given the circumstances in which, you know, their lives were, you know, I was dealing with some of the most at-risk youth in the city of Toronto, which is one of the largest metropolitan cities in the world. And I was working with some of the biggest, you know, gang leaders, pedophiles, rapists, murderers. You know, from I had some of the highest cases of child abuse and neglect in my care. So I worked in partnership with the government, and you know, every day I was sworn to confidentiality, so I could never speak about my experiences. But what I know for sure is that these students were struggling in a way that none of us would ever comprehend. I also learned that by working with these kind of populations and clienteles, that if you actually understood their stories, and if you understood the way they were brought into this world and what was, you know, taught to them as normal behavior, is the reason why they turned out the way they did. And so if you could see it from that kind of perspective, you're not judgmental towards them. You don't point the fingers at them. Instead, you hold them and you cradle them and you let them know that everything is going to be okay, and that it's time to make a difference, and it's time to shift what they thought was okay into what really is okay. And I always said, you know, my classrooms, my lessons, my workshops, everything today and HHH, it's always trying to create that different learner, thinker, being in the world, and not focusing on the academic piece, but the social emotional needs. And that affects every human on the face of this planet, right? We all have mental health, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's all over the place. And if we can learn,
I want to pause right there, because you said something that was very, very critical, in that we need to be aware of the judgment seat that we may be in. And last month, the international theme for Women's History was to stop the bias. And we need to recognize that inherently, through our own conditioning experiences, whether we want to admit it or not, we have our biases out there. And it causes us to judge, to respond, to react to individuals and situations in very prescriptive ways. And it's really, I believe, Serena, it's by the grace of God that we are where we are, because even in the perfect scenario, life can happen. And suddenly you find yourself, whether it's divorce, whether it's with an illness. My cousin, who was this rock star realtor in the 80s and 90s in San Francisco, making over $250,000 back then, ended up being homeless, and devastatingly so. Where she was raped, she was brutalized. I mean, and you're looking like, how did someone from that position fall? Well, it's not so much you fell. Life happens, right? And there was no one there. There wasn't a Serena. There wasn't to help heal humanity to be there to catch her and then to guide her back. And I challenge, and that's why I really wanted to talk about this. I challenge those who are listening to first assess, when you see someone who's in need, when you see someone who's marginalized, what's the first thought that goes through your head? Are you quick to reframe and put them in a certain box? And as you said, Serena, they have a story. But until you know that story, it's easy to say, they're lazy. They're right.
Well, that's exactly it. And that's I guess inherently what we do, and even in my day-to-day work, when I am bringing volunteers out to feed the homeless or to work with some cases of mental health addiction, because mental health and addiction, they go hand in hand. And um and again, a lot of people are like, these people choose to be on the streets. These people have services that they can go to. Oh, these people are just addicts, and they're choosing this lifestyle. And I bring a lot of volunteers out on the streets with me, and a lot of them, even from young students, youth, adults, they're scared to go out there. They're very scared to go out there because those people are crazy, those people are violent, those people are scary. And I think me being, very comfortable in those kind of situations, I could lead them into those circumstances. And I see it every day. People come in scared, people come in with opinions. And at the end of a feeding session or at the end of a program, they look at me and they're like, wow, that, well, first, wow, I can't believe that exists in our backyards, because
Mm.
they're right in the fields. And so you're seeing that part of your city, that part of your community that you don't really know or you're familiar with. So they see that and it breaks their heart to know that this is happening. And then second, when they see their faces and they make that connection that they were afraid to make, you see it open them up, and they come out of that experience thanking me for opening them up to such an experience, to change their mind, to change their spirit. And that's again why I always say, like, the biggest challenge you could do is take that step. And if you're nervous to take that step, call somebody, call an agency, call a non-for-profit, call whatever it is that interests you. If it's homelessness, if it's food insecurities, if it's working with children who have learning disabilities, if it's working with, addiction problems, if it's working with the elderly, take that step. Like, I really, really encourage you to take that step, make that phone call. Because as you said in the beginning of the show, LaWanna, taking that step and going out there is actually going to do more for you than you could ever imagine. Service work was nothing I ever intended on doing. I ended up doing it, and my life became so much more fulfilled. And I already had quite a fulfilled life and a beautiful life. I do believe I was given this heart to care maybe about a lot of things people don't care about. Or I think I'm also kind of, because I know I'm operating straight from the heart and the intention is just to do good, I do feel like I'm guided and I'm protected. And I'm very, I'm very open to taking the risk, feeling like I'm always going to be okay because the intention is so pure. And like I said, it became a feeling that I had never felt before. It becomes a very contagious feeling. And it was just, I noticed that the more I give, the more fulfilled I am, and the more the universe is there to give me more of what I need and want without even realizing it. Again, Help Heal Humanity would have never happened if it didn't originate in my classroom. Okay. Now I'm working with some of the most at risk youth in the city of Toronto. And when my students, my job was to really rehabilitate them and make them be able to go back into society as what they call functional, you know, young adults. Um, and so I wanted to do that by teaching them by doing. So I brought them to local soup kitchens. I brought them to women's shelters. I brought them to places like Habitat for Humanity and or Value Village so that they can learn job skills and life skills. And it was, again, these students who were considered the most at risk and students that nobody ever wanted, you start to see their body, the way they carried themselves in the world. As soon as they realized, like, I can actually do something to help somebody else, and they became better people, they became better humans, and it became this snowball effect. And then when my students saw that there were kids in the world that were suffering greater than they were, They said, Miss, we need to help these kids. And again, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator. I don't know how to go into the poorest countries in the world and build a school. But again, it was role modeling that whatever we put our minds to, that we can actually achieve it. And if you just take that step, instead of saying, when my students said, we need to build a school for these kids, instead of me saying, no, that would be impossible, I said, okay, let's figure out how to do this. And slowly through our actions, and again, through opening ourselves to the possibility, everything started to come in place. If I had
what you just said, Serena, is you were willing, and I think it's just part of your DNA, to have an openness, to be willing to receive and to be guided, and in such a way that you were willing to listen to children, provide that seed of guidance. And sometimes, and I want to challenge our listening audience, do not package what you think or who you think will be the messenger for you, or where the resources will come from. Sometimes it's the most unlikely situation or individual, or in your case, children who will knock on your door of consciousness and say, what about? And I love the fact that you said, rather than taking the comfort road, oh, that's nice, it's a great idea, someone's going to take care of that, but that's not my job. You empowered them by saying, let's together, our collective consciousness, figure this out. And trust that if this is our role and our place in the world, it'll all come into play. We don't know how, but we're not going to say no, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's what I tell all beings who will listen, like, step outside yourself. You know what I mean? Like, so many of us are living a life that we have been conditioned to live, or we're living a life or a dream of our parents or what society wants of us. And a lot of us have suppressed our true selves, or our hopes and our dreams and our wishes, to fulfill that of what they think is stereotyped as normal. And that to me is probably the worst thing that you could do for yourself, because again, it's when you take the challenge, it's when you open yourself up to the power of the universe, or whatever it is that you believe in, that again, everything just starts happening. Like, and I tell this, other charities have approached me in how I've been successful. And I'm like, I'm still trying to figure it out every day. I learn from my mistakes, and mistakes are actually lessons of growth. I take mistakes as opportunities. I don't ever look at that as if I'm a failure. And more importantly, it's taking that step. And I remember in the beginning when, I'm working with the most at-risk youth. They all belong to the government. They don't have family members. We don't have people we can go out to and say, hey, we want to build a school. Can you give us money? We had to get very creative about how we were going to raise money, and that's when, my students and I'm like, if you guys want to do this, we gotta put ourselves out there. We need to start going to other schools. We need to start going to other programs, and we need to figure this out. And so other charities saw us as being very successful, and then approached me and said, how do you do it? I said, you just go for it. If I would have sat there with the proposal and the budget and all the do's and the don'ts, everything would have pointed in the favor of not doing what ended up becoming possible. I think it was taking that stepping outside myself. I mean, literally, because there were times where I was putting myself on a plane. Actually, just this past summer, putting myself on a plane and putting myself in a situation where even the UN and the Red Cross were like, what are you doing? You're going to get killed. And I said, I'm doing what I came here to do, which was put myself aside for the goodness of others. And I think because of that, this is how we're successful. People see us, people pray for us, people tell other people about us, and somehow it always comes together. And it's like you said, I never know how. I always just have to sit back and trust and believe. And you made a point earlier where you said it's the people you least expect it from. I remember like when I first started fundraising and, through our very first fundraisers, and I thought for sure all my friends and family and all the people that I knew were going to be there. And most of the people that I thought were going to be there for us didn't show up. And a whole bunch of people I didn't know showed up and made it successful. And as I mentor people who are doing things like this and throwing events, I always warn them, don't get upset because the people you think are going to be there for you are not, but there's this whole group of people that are going to show up and be there for you. And again, that's just trusting in the magic of what you're doing. And again, I never thought I would leave my classroom. I never thought I would do something as grand as I'm doing right now, but that's because my students motivated me to go into the world. I went into Haiti as my first project and assignment. And what I saw in Haiti was it just moved me and it touched me and it inspired me in a way I had never been moved or touched or inspired to want to be better. Like, I mean, when you talk about rolling up your sleeves, it's like you don't even really comprehend what you're doing because you just throw yourself in there, and you're just doing whatever needs to be done, whether it's at a shelter, whether it's at, in a third world country, whether it's in your own family, whether it's in your backyard. If you are sincerely going to be there for somebody and just take yourself out of that equation, it's kind of incredible how it just happens. You just roll up your sleeves and somehow this thing comes through you that allows you to be conscious and aware and alert and giving. And I know you're not processing it while it's happening because you're just in it. But when you take a step back and you get out of that situation and you go home at night and you reflect, you're like, wow, what just happened? And how did I do that? And that is where the spirit of giving and service work empowers you. It motivates you because you start to see you are so much more capable than you actually think you are. And so a lot of us sit back and, like you had mentioned earlier, we don't put ourselves in this situation. We don't think we can be that person who makes a difference. We don't think that we have the time to do it. But I promise you that if you just do it without thinking about it, it's going to change your life. And please message me if it doesn't, because there is absolutely no way you can go out. It might even, it might impact you to the point where it was so harmful and hurtful and scary that you might not want to do it again. But trust me, that experience is going to give you a different outlook and a different perspective. And it's really sad to say that no matter what it is, you end up having such a greater appreciation for yourself and for your life. And then you become better for others. And it's just, I say, just take that one day. There's 365 days in a year. If the only thing you do this year is give up one of those days to make a difference for somebody else, those little things would actually cause a major shift in consciousness and in humanity and making the world a little bit better.
Exactly. And some people, Serena, may be listening to this and saying, okay, LaWanna, Serena, you guys are so far left. I have no desire to go into the field and do that kind of lifting. We get it. But in your own backyard, there are needs. There are children. Well, I'm just going to speak to the U.S. There are children in America, which it was magnified, I think, for the masses to be aware, who didn't have food. We're totally dependent on the lunch school program. Well, there's a easy, non-threatening way for you to get involved. Find out who's providing these meals for the children, because they were still being fed. Someone stepped in. As you mentioned, the elderly. What about, obviously during COVID, we couldn't go and visit the nursing homes, but would it have been so difficult to write letters, send that generation cards, right? Because that's what they relate to. Or you think about children and going, I know one of the things that we did every year is during the big month of literacy is go and read at the elementary schools. So there's so many ways that you can give back, or even single mothers that are out there that just need a little break. So when we can step in, when we can fill that gap, be the healer of the breach, if you will, we transform, but also we that transformation is what resonates around the world. And as you were talking and you were saying that as you move forward in this, because you know that this is your purpose, that you don't take note of your life. And I want people to say she's not going in just willy-nilly, like, okay, but that's not the focus. And it reminded me of the scripture in the Bible where it talks about Esther. And there is a particular line where she had to go and approach the king at her own peril, the risk of her own peril. And her words were, if I perish, I perish. But she knew for that appointed time, she was the messenger. Yeah. She was the one that was supposed to go and do so. And she survived. And that's with you. You're saying, okay, this is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I can't do it being fearful.
Yeah.
Right? We have to let go of the fear.
Definitely. And again, like I say every day, like, I don't know, I'm so grateful to be alive. My worst day on earth is such a beautiful day on earth, you know, and to have seen what is happening in the world, but like you said, in our own backyards, and to know that somehow we can be that gift for other people. And then you don't know what these people end up becoming and how transformed they get. You know, when I see my students and their parents, some of their parents, or the agencies who have contacted me and said, my child or these group of kids are completely different kids. And, you know, it'll make me cry to think that me, a significant human being in the world, all of a sudden had this power and this ability from the greatness of my heart to have transformed students' lives. And then the students transformed my life. And then together we transformed our community. And now we're transforming other communities. And in particular, Help Heal Humanity, again, just started in a classroom with me and a bunch of students, has turned into a bit of a global international charity. We received our charity status in the USA. And since I've been working in the USA, I have to say I have been educated on a whole new level, because I did not realize how many states have this extreme side of them of, like you said, poverty, diversity, homelessness, food insecurities. And
Serena, let me tell you something that I was sharing with Barbara Beckley, my co-founder of Celebrate You. And she was shocked to hear, as was I, that there was a diaper shortage, meaning not that the diapers weren't available, but women, single mothers, didn't have the means to diaper their children. Yeah. And Pampers had a huge push, a huge campaign about that. So again, we sometimes get very comfortable in our homes and feeling warm and toasty and cozy. And again, the simple things people are looking for. Children just needing to have a meal. And as you said, mental health. If you're not properly fed,
no,
and have the proper rest, think about how that impacts your ability to learn. And what I'd like to do, Serena, I want to share one of these amazing videos where you are feeding the homeless, or you're feeding the community, because they may not all have been homeless, just people in need, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what video you're showing, but I'll give my comments
I
after.
One. One second. Here we go.
And although it may seem a little mundane, packing up boxes and being on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us because we're the one little bit of hope that they have to have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today. My name is Serena Bufalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
I love that message. I have another video that I want to share, and this is the one that you did in Haiti. So it's showing the work that Help Heal Humanity is doing in Haiti. And you're not just in Haiti, you're in other countries around the world doing some amazing things. And even here in the US, there is a need. So here is Help Heal Humanity in Haiti.
For the past 5 years, Help Heal Humanity has successfully run an elementary school in Canaan, Haiti. Due to COVID-19, the political unrest, and the recent earthquakes, food is scarce. The students attending our program are coming to school starving, and therefore causing a disruption in their academic goals. We need your help, now more than ever, to provide these students with the nourishment they need to continue their education. Our goal is to raise $100,000 so we can feed 100 kids lunch daily and send them to school in the upcoming year. Thank you for your support.
Isn't it amazing how a little becomes much in different communities? And so to those that are listening, you may think, well, I don't have hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars to donate. If everyone listening to this broadcast goes to bit.ly/celebrate HHH and only donates $10, that creates a ripple effect, right? It creates an impact. You can be make a difference in the life of a child. And Serena, I want to take myself down and I want you to talk to the community and be as transparent as you need to. Tell them what you need, whether it's time, money, resources, prayers. It all makes a difference, right?
Prayers for sure. Prayers for the goodness of humanity. Prayers at our charity can definitely be who we have the capacity of being. Most importantly, it's donations. At Help Heal Humanity, I am exceptionally proud to say that there are no paid employees. We are all here sharing our gifts, our talents, and our resources to give back and make the world a little bit better. So 100% of your donation is going directly to help the people in need. Specifically right now, our school program in Haiti. As you may know, Haiti is one of the poorest countries in the Western hemispheres. Recently, they've had an assassination of their president. The gangs have taken over the entire country, making it exceptionally difficult to even give aid or help or support. And there was another earthquake that just happened. Due to those three circumstances that have all taken place in the last few months, we have seen a significant decline in our students. And they are coming to school. They're still coming to school because school is their opportunity for growth, structure, routine, opportunity. But they are actually starving. The malnutrition rate has gone up 68% in the last year alone. And so what we are really asking the community to do is to donate $5, $10, $15, $20 so that we may feed our children on a daily basis. The directors, the teachers have all said that the kids are so hungry, they're so starving that they're irritable, they can't concentrate, and it's causing a major disruptions in their learning. So my number one thing would be is if you have the means, literally everyone's $5 adds up to an enormous amount of money. $10 is fantastic, and anything over $20 comes with a tax receipt if you're living in the USA, Canada, Haiti, or Spain. And please, I urge you to go to our website or to go to the Celebrate link that's right below our screen here, and to make that donation, because really every little dollar, through my experience as being the CEO and founder of this charity, adds up to making a profound difference in the life of others. So please, please, please donate. Send us an email if you want to get involved and be part of this movement of using yourself for the greater good of others.
I love that. I'm going to put your official website.
Yep.
So it's helphealhumanity.org.
Yes. Yeah. And you can donate in pretty much any currency. We have your information. Sign up for our newsletter. Go and like us on Facebook and Instagram. It's Help Heal Humanity. And even if you just like us on our social media, or if you share our social media, the more people who are aware of who we are and what we're doing, especially knowing that we are a service-based charity, so nobody, including myself, are getting a big paycheck. Maybe one day, but for now, it's all heart, it's all compassion, it's all servitude, and it's all, trying to make a difference in this world. So like us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, sign up for our newsletter, go to our website, and like I said, any donation adds up to a lot of change. And we like to keep the donors engaged in our projects. We like to show them directly where their money is going. So, you'll always see where your donation is going. And LaWanna, I want to say thank you to you and to E360 TV, because when we first launched in the USA, you believed in us. You hosted an event for us last year, your Celebrate You Woman of Wellness event. It was $10 donations that added up to a lot of money. And it was, and it's through this awareness piece and through this, sharing our gifts with others that we are growing every year, and every day getting a little bit bigger, and we can only do that with the support of all of you. So please, please like us, message us, donate, and follow us.
Yes. I'm going to play that commercial one more time. I think it's important that everyone sees it. Let me not lose your banner there. And the one thing that I like what you said is that almost 100% of the donations go to the need. And we've seen so often as organizations get bigger and bigger, and we get it. It takes money to get the ball rolling and to keep it moving. But you want to know where your money's going, that you're donating not to necessarily always pay salaries, but that it's really helping those who are less fortunate. And Help Heal Humanity does just that. So I am out here being very vocal. Normally I won't tell people to place their money somewhere, but I'm calling on my friends, on my colleagues, on my Celebrate You community who's watching this. Again, it's just a little bit. We're not asking. We know there's a huge need out there around the world. My company supports many charities but this is just one more we added to our plate. Because if you can, why not? Why
And
not? You can't take it with you.
No, you
Why
can't. And trust me, I will be, very honest. Running a volunteer-based charity is exceptionally hard, because as you said, people are extremely busy. People have full-time jobs. They have families. They have, relationships. And so it is hard to run an international charity with no paid employees. But again, that's just believing in the good in people and trying to be that charity that differentiates from other charities. And so this is part of the process of being open and trusting that things are going to work out for us and not knowing how they're going to work out for us. But that's why every donation really helps. Or even if you have a few hours to spare and you want to get involved, we could use all the help we could get. And again, that's because if we had like 6 employees where we were paying, we'd probably be able to get a lot further. But we don't want to see people's donations going to our salaries, and we want to see the money. So some of our projects, it'll be 100% of your donation. In very rare circumstances, it will be 96, but it's never less than 96% of your donation. And we will keep you involved in that process. And again, thank you, LaWanna, and all the people who, I say, put your trust and put your faith in us, because we are doing the good work, and we need, and with the only way we're going to be successful is if the viewers watching spread the word and talk about us and get us involved and hopefully donate to the cause.
I love that. Well, here is another glimpse of the beautiful young children in Haiti.
For the past 5 years, Help Heal Humanity has successfully run an elementary school in Canaan, Haiti. Due to COVID-19, the political unrest, and the recent earthquakes, food is scarce. The students attending our program are coming to school starving, and therefore causing a disruption in their academic goals. We need your help, now more than ever, to provide these students with the nourishment they need to continue their education. Our goal is to raise $100,000 so we can feed 100 kids lunch daily and send them to school in the upcoming year. Thank you for your support.
Well, Serena, this has been a pleasure having you on Choose to Challenge once again. You are also Celebrate You Woman of the Month for April, and Barbara will be coordinating with you because this is also an opportunity for you to leverage our different platforms, which reach different audiences, to share the amazing work that you and Help Heal Humanity is doing, not only in Haiti, in the U.S., but in other countries around the world.
And E360 has also sponsored us. So Help Heal Humanity will be launching in partnership with E360 TV and your partner, Barbara, from Diamond Factor. We are launching a podcast that will be aired live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. So come out and, join in that fun. And again, just thank you for believing in us, for trusting in us, for being one of our big cheerleaders and fans that we all need in this world, because it is people like you who absolutely go above and beyond to make a difference for people like me, for charities like me and us, and for all of humanity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Serena. And listening audience, we know what's going on in Ukraine. We ask for you to continue to pray for those individuals who are devastated, women, children, homeless, losing everything, lives being just ripped apart. And we need healing. We need healing in the world. We need love. We need people like Serena, Help Heal Humanity, and other charities that are out there that are boots on the ground, that are making the difference and changing lives every single day. And if you can't stretch that far, if your faith can't stretch you that far, it's okay. But take a moment and look to your right and to your left. I promise you, you're going to find someone who you can stand in the gap and make a difference. Until next week, we will see you. And I'm going to close with our salute to Ukraine.